All right, the recording is in progress. Mayuresh, good evening.
Good evening, Akshay.
So we'll begin. People will join in as and when they have to. But from our end, I believe call to chalu ho gaya hai. So once again, good evening, Mayuresh. Welcome, and we are welcoming all those who may join us later or who may watch this recording later. So the topic is transforming self-doubt into confidence. Now, we had sent out invites to a lot of people. We had shared the link, the QR for people to register for this topic. People have not registered, and we expected that people may join us. Once we begin the call. So far, none have shown up. But that's perfectly fine because based on my experience working with people since 2019 when I started Samaksh, and even before that, as my role as the head of L&D, what I have observed is self doubt or low sense of worth, self worth, is a common challenge that most of the people face, irrespective of their titles, irrespective of their levels, irrespective of their experiences in life. Yeah. So from that perspective, the topic is relevant. There are people who need this, but again, it's also the question of prioritizing. So I hope that people do prioritize and take some time off their busy schedules to watch what we're going to be talking about. And the fact that we're going ahead with this call without any participants goes to prove that both Mayuresh and I have kind of worked on our self doubt. We've overcome that phase and we've transformed it into confidence. अगर नहीं किया होता तो हम दोनों सोचते कि भाई किसी ने रजिस्टर नहीं किया है, शायद हम रेडी नहीं है, हमारा टॉपिक कुछ काम का नहीं है. बट ऐसा नहीं है भाई, टॉपिक बड़े काम की चीज है. राइट, मैं सीनियर लीडर्स के साथ काम करता हूँ, मिड लेवल लीडर्स के साथ काम करता हूँ, फ्रंट लाइन इंडिविजुअल कंट्रीब्यूटर्स के साथ भी काम करता हूँ. सबका एक ही चैलेंज है और वो सेल्फ डाउट है. हाँ, अपने अपने लेवल और एक्सपीरियंस के मुताबिक उनके द इंटेंसिटी ऑफ सेल्फ डाउट मे बी डिफरेंट, बट कहानी तो वही है भाई. तो आज हम वही बात करेंगे. व्हाट वी गोइंग टू डू टुडे इज Mayuresh has already curated a set of about 5 to 6 questions which he will ask during the call today. Uh, and I would like to start with a story. Mayuresh, I'm sure you may have heard of this story or you may have read it. So this is a story of a grandfather. This was many years ago. Uh, must be in the early 70s in the United States. And this is a very strong story that talks about two wolves. The title of the story is Two Wolves. So there's this grandfather who's, telling his grandson that there is, let's call this grandson Duke. So he's like, Duke, son, and there's a fight going on inside, and the fight is between two wolves. So the child is like, he's very happy. His grandfather is telling a story. So he's like, oh wow, two wolves. And the grandfather continues. So one of the wolf is evil. He's full of anger, sorrow, jealousy, greed, low on confidence, self pity, victim mode. The other wolf is good, full of joy, happiness, hope, faith, confidence, and kindness. And the grandson is like, okay, tell me more about it. So the grandfather is like, you know what, Duke, you, as you grow up, you too may face this internal fight. You may encounter these two wolves within you. In fact, every person on this planet has encountered or will encounter these two wolves and will encounter this internal fight between these two wolves. So the grandson thinks about it. He's like, okay, that's interesting. But grandpa, which wolf will win? So the grandfather looks at him and says, my dear son, the one you feed shall win. And Mayuresh and ladies and gentlemen, for me, this is a beautiful representation of self doubt versus confidence. To me, the bad wolf here, the evil wolf here, is your self doubt, right? Because I believe that self doubt brings with it loss of self, anger towards yourself, blaming the world, getting into the victim mode, greed, pessimism, lack of opportunities, lack of abundance. And the good wolf, obviously, will represent your confidence, because confidence will bring a lot of opportunities, it will bring abundance, action, contentment. It will also bring with it risks, failures, but most importantly, it will give you the strength and rigor to move forward with complete determination. And that is what we're going to be talking about today. How do you tackle the fight between the evil wolf, that's the self doubt, versus the good wolf, that's your confidence? क्योंकि ये दोनों wolves हमारे अंदर ही है यहाँ पे, और कौन जीतता है वो भी डिपेंड करेगा हमारी काबिलियत पे कि हम किस wolf को ज्यादा खाना खिलाते. Do you agree with me, Marish?
Yes, absolutely, Akshay. Whatever you said right now is very relevant. The story was
Correct.
very relevant
Correct.
to today's topic. Even I
Absolutely.
feel self-doubt is the biggest challenge one
Absolutely.
can face
Correct.
in his life. And if one can overcome that, he can achieve whatever he wants to. So that
Absolutely.
way, I feel whatever you said is very much in true
Absolutely.
sense.
Absolutely. And I think another story, I think that will be my personal story. It's when I started my journey as a trainer way back, in my ex company, must be 2013. This was when uh, I was asked to take upon the charge of the lead for training and mentoring for the customer experience team, right? So I was heading the customer experience team from 2005 to 2008. Then 2008 to 2012, I moved on, to manage the corporate business development, corporate customer experience. We expanded the team, we grew the business. And in 2012, there was an opportunity where either I had to take upon the role of, I expected to take upon the role of the head of customer experience, um, because by 2012 the team had grown, the company had grown. So based on the experience, I was expecting to be the head of customer experience. But what happened was, to the CEO, I said, you know what we need to do? We need to have the team structure just like the Indian cricket team, where you have one captain and one coach. So I said that because he would say, "Oh yeah, you should be captain," but instead he ended up saying, "Oh yes, considering your experience, you need to be the coach."
Mm.
I was shocked, but I couldn't say anything. And then I had to take upon that role. Now, in my first week when I took upon the role, I had to begin with my training. And the people that worked with me, as my colleagues, as my team members, as my direct reports, some of them walked up to the boss saying that, yeah, we've seen him work. We believe in him, but we've never seen him train us. And this is training for the soft skills, not business. I don't think he's got the caliber. My CEO also called me into the meeting and he said, you know what? Some of the members walked in to my cabin and they said, you don't seem confident. What do you think? My response to him was, yeah, I think you're right. I'm not ready. I don't know what to do. So he's like, then what do you want to do? Do you want to take upon a new role? But that means you'll probably have to go a level below because there's no other role. I was shocked, and I said, "No, no, no, no! I don't want to do that. I'll figure out a way." So I figured out a way. I did my training course, got some confidence. I came back. I started conducting sessions, but I was conducting sessions because I had to. And eventually, within 4 months, I failed. Why did I fail? I failed because I was faking it. I was faking my confidence. Deep down, I was doubting my capability. Now, there was a person, I wouldn't name her, but she was a very confident person. She was a Japanese lady within the organization. Very, she was very articulate in her thinking, very strong, um, and she would report into my colleague earlier. She was the one who walked up and said, I don't believe in the way you're training. I don't think your training is effective. And that hurt me because she was someone who was new in the organization. I was someone with uh, maybe 10 years of experience, right? And yet she was questioning my capabilities. And I allowed her to question my capabilities, and I gave the power to. And when I gave the power to her, when I gave powers to the people around me, I realized that I failed miserably because I chose, not decided, I chose to believe in their perceptions about me. Not once did I think about, hey, I've been in this company for 10 years, man. I was the first employee of the organization. Nothing about being the first employee, but I've seen the company grow from the roots. I know what went into building this company. So what if I am not into an operational role? I may be in a training role. I have the capabilities. I have to share my wisdom. So all I had to do was reflect. But what did I do? I fed the evil wolf. I fed my self doubt. I made my self doubt the most powerful agent at that point of time. And that powerful agent almost killed my career prospect. Then I was moved into learning and development, which was a new department. Again, something I didn't know what I had to do. For 1.5 years, I lived with that self doubt. And how I worked on the self doubt, we'll keep it for the later part of the conversation. I wouldn't want to get into the details. All I'm trying to say is, ladies and gentlemen, self doubt and confidence are two sides of the same coin, are the two wolves that are within you, and it is up to you to decide whether you want to listen to the perceptions and feed the evil wolf, or would you want to reflect on your own self belief, your own perception, feed the good wolf, and transform your self doubt into confidence? So that's the context that I had to set, Mayuresh. Now,
Yeah, absolutely.
passing on the baton to
Very,
you.
very nicely said.
Yeah,
Yeah. When we're talking about self-doubt, I mean, I know it is a very, if you say it is a very easy term to understand, at the same time, it is very difficult to understand.
correct.
So, let's begin this conversation ahead and
Absolutely.
let me know from your perspective, what, according to you, is actually a self-doubt? And the second question connecting to this question is, and how do people manifest it?
Correct. Correct. All right. So yeah, I think it's the answer is similar to what I've been sharing so far. Uh, so let me explain it with a concept. So self is obviously you. Now, what typically happens is when we say self, we are stuck in the physical body, right? क्योंकि हमें यही दिख रहा है. But actually, the self is you, the energy, the soul, the spirit
Okay.
that's inside the body, right? And then there's your mind. The mind and the soul together, along with the body, helps you walk on your life's path, right? So, what is this self? This self is you, Yap Ho. That's the energy that's within you. And that is what we need to think. When you're completely focused on the external aspect, this body, when you look yourself into the mirror, what is the have you ever looked at yourself, standing uh, next to the mirror,
Yes,
seeing
yes,
your
definitely.
reflection in the mirror?
Every day, almost every day, we
Uh,
see ourselves.
yes. So what do you see? What is the first thought that comes to your mind? अरे मैं मोटा हो गया हूँ यार. अरे मैं पतला
Exactly.
हो गया हूँ. अरे आई एम लुकिंग सो नाइस. ही मैं कितना गंदी लग रही हूँ. आई एम नॉट लुकिंग सो नाइस यार. व्हाट इज हैपनिंग? ओ माय गॉड, मेरे बाल एकदम ग्रे हो गए. मेरे तो है नहीं, वो बात अलग है, बट फिर भी. तो these are the questions, these are the thoughts that come to us. And because हम वो physical realm में अटके हुए हैं. What you need to do is you need to focus on the energy that is within you, which is the real you. आप हो वो. You are driving your thoughts, you are driving your body. So when you undervalue yourself, you move towards self doubt. What do you mean by undervaluing? जब आपको खुद को ही पता नहीं आप कौन हो, तो या तो आप अपने आप को अंडर वैल्यू करोगे, या तो आप खुद को ओवर वैल्यू करोगे. अंडर वैल्यू आप क्यों करोगे खुद को? क्योंकि बचपन से आप सुनते आ रहे हो, अरे तू तो गधा है, ओ यू आर अ डफर, तू कितना भी कोशिश कर ले तू सक्सेसफुल नहीं बनने वाली. डू वट एवर यू वांट. ऐसे नहीं हंसते. डोंट, दिस इज नॉट द वे टू सिट, दिस इज नॉट द वे टू स्माइल. तो ये सारे जो रेस्ट्रिक्शंस, ये सारे जो टैग्स हमें दिए जाते हैं, उससे हम सोचने लगते हैं कि यार जो देने वाले हैं वो तो हमारे फैमिली मेंबर्स है, हमारे टीचर्स है, तो वो तो शायद हमसे ज्यादा ही जानते हैं. फ्रेंड्स भी कभी कभी दे देते हैं, तो हम सोचते हैं यार ये लोग शायद अपने से ज्यादा स्ट्रांग है, क्योंकि लोग इनको चाहते हैं यार. दैट पर्सन इज सो स्मार्ट. लोग हमेशा बोलते हैं अरे ये मस्त बंदा है, तो बराबर ही होगा. So then you start undervaluing yourself. When you undervalue yourself, you move towards self doubt. What is self doubt? Am I capable? Will I get an increment this year? Will I score more than 60%, or will I get my 80%? Will I get admission into this college? If I get into this college, will I survive? Do I have the capabilities of becoming an engineer? मुझे इंजीनियर नहीं बनना है. मेरे डैडी बोल रहे हैं इंजीनियर बन जा. मुझे सीए नहीं बनना है, मुझे आर्ट्स में जाना है. लेकिन अगर आर्ट्स में जाऊंगी तो लोग हंसेंगे, बोलेंगे आर्ट्स तो यार, आर्ट्स में कुछ दम नहीं. So all of this happens because of the lack of self-awareness, which is when you're feeding the evil wolf, and the evil wolf pressurizes you to undervalue yourself, and you move towards self-doubt.
Okay.
Now, overvaluing. When do you overvalue yourself? You overvalue yourself when people praise you just for the sake of praising you. वो बचपन से ही शुरू होता है. अरे मेरा बच्चा कितना मस्त बोला ये. ही बैक आंसर्ड इज अंकल, अरे आई लव्ड द वे ही सेड यार. बचपन में मैंने तो कभी ऐसा नहीं बोला था यार. वाह वाह वाह, मस्त है तू. सो व्हेन यू गेट this fake recognition or acknowledgement, you start having an inflated sense of the self. When people start praising you for all the wrong things, or when people start praising you for all the crazy or over the top things that you keep doing, you start having an inflated sense of the self. That's one thing. Secondly, you're not strong. You're perhaps weak in maths, or I'm just giving maths as an example. You perhaps know that you're an average student. You perhaps know that you have a fear of being judged, but you don't want people to reject you. So what do? You inflate that sense of the self. You start overvaluing yourself. You start coming across as very aggressive. You start speaking loudly, and you start to disrespect others. You start to disregard others. दूसरों को आप रिजेक्ट करने लग जाते हो. अरे मैं दुनिया को ऐसे चलाता हूँ, मेरे से बात कर रहा है तू, मेरे से. अरे मेरे पास जो भी आएगा ना, सबको ऐसा सीधा करूंगा. When you say this, you're overvaluing yourself. Deep down, there is a self-doubt that you are yet to address. When you undervalue yourself, you've kind of addressed your self-doubt, and you're living with that self-doubt. When you overvalue yourself, you have rejected, you've suppressed, or you've repressed, almost repressed that self-doubt, and you've transformed into this werewolf. So it's only when you start valuing yourself, when you start to know your strengths, your weaknesses, your triggers, your passion, you actually start valuing yourself. And that is when you start adding value through your purpose to the people around you, to your company. And that is what gives you contentment. That is what gives you the feeling of being successful. So I answered your.
Yeah, yeah. Wow, wow. You also answered my next question because it was in uh, sync with the first one.
Okay,
I
okay,
understand that lack of self-awareness is the reason behind self-confidence
correct,
and valuing ourselves. So
correct,
either
absolutely,
undervaluing or overvaluing.
absolutely,
But
absolutely,
like, just tell me, Akshay, just for my understanding, are there any other root causes for self-doubt, like say childhood experiences or past
absolutely,
failure or social
absolutely.
pressure sometimes? Because
Yeah,
nowadays people are very much under social pressure. Everyone is posting their own success story on social media, but we don't know whether it is a true story or not. Because that person who is posting may also be in a self-doubt. You never know. So, what
absolutely. Well
according to
said.
you are the root causes?
Yes.
Are these the root causes of self-doubt?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So I think the first root cause, as I mentioned at the start, is the early life experiences, and when I say early life experience, the early life traumatic experience. And when I say
Yeah.
traumatic experiences, these are experiences where people may have humiliated you, people who may have been really rude to you, they've kind of disregarded you, they've put you down in life. So that stays with you. And these are the people who would be your teachers. These are the people who would be your family, sometimes even your parents. पेरेंट्स गुस्से में कुछ भी बोल देते हैं बट उनको लगता है अरे मेरे बच्चे को ठीक करने के लिए मैं बोल रहा हूँ तो ठीक हो जाएगा नहीं वो नहीं होता राइट तो योर ट्रोमैटिक चाइल्डहुड एक्सपीरियंसेस यहाँ से शुरुआत होती है दैट इज वेयर द चाइल्ड एट बाय द एज ऑफ 7 द चाइल्ड स्टार्ट्स फीडिंग द वुल्फ अब वो गुड वुल्फ को खाना खिला रहा है या इविल वुल्फ को वो डिपेंड करता है based on his ability to respond to what's happening around, right?
Oh,
Another root cause I would also say is controlling environment. Typically, children who grow up in a very controlled environment, they either most of them turn out to be people with a low sense of self because right from their childhood they've been told that they're good for nothing. उसमें से कोई कुछ 2-3% लोग होंगे जो खुद पर काम करके अपने आप को वैल्यू देके वैल्यू ऐड करने लगेंगे बट मोस्ट ऑफ द पीपल सेल्फ डाउट में चले जाते हैं और कुछ कम होंगे जो खुद को फिर से जैसे मैंने बोला था दे विल सप्रेस दैट साइड ऑफ द सेल्फ डाउट एंड ट्रांसफॉर्म इनटू अ वेयरवुल्फ ट्राइंग टू गॉबल यू अप कंप्लीटली तो वो एक है रूट कॉज विच इज द कंट्रोल्ड एनवायरमेंट constant comparison to your siblings to your friends is again a sign of self worth और वो लो सेल्फ वर्थ और वो हम आजकल सोशल मीडिया पे एज यू राइटली पॉइंटेड आउट हम वो सोशल मीडिया पे भी देखते हैं कि लोग फेसबुक पे डाल रहे हैं हम फॉरेन गए हैं हम
yeah.
लिंक्डइन पे
Everybody is
आप
posting.
देखोगे कि अरे हमारे कंपनी ने कॉन्फ्रेंस ऑर्गेनाइज की उस कॉन्फ्रेंस में मैं स्पीकर था या हमारी कंपनी ने ये किया हमारी कंपनी ने वो किया हमारी कंपनी आगे है तो तुम्हारे दिमाग में वो बचपन से ही चला आ रहा है कि यार जो दिख रहा है वो तुमसे ज्यादा अच्छा कर रहा है और हम वो नहीं देखते कि भाई वो तो जो कर रहा है वो अपने हिसाब से कर रहा है अच्छा है पर तुम भी तो कुछ कर रहे हो जस्ट बिकॉज यू आर नॉट इन लंडन एंड दैट पर्सन इज इन लंडन डजंट मेक यू एनी लेस वो सवाल कभी कभी मेरे दिमाग में भी आता है अरे ये बंदा तो मेरे साथ शुरू किया था ये तो अभी 1000 लोगों को स्पीच दे रहा है क्या बात है यार तो देन आई हैव टू रिफ्लेक्ट सिंह कि ठीक है ना वो बंदा अभी उस टाइम पे आगे है उसने भी मेहनत की है वो मेहनत की वजह से उधर पहुंचा है मैं अपनी मेहनत करने से मैं शायद 10-15-20 लोगों के साथ बैठा हूं तो जब और मेहनत करूंगा तो मैं आगे जाऊंगा और एंड व्हेन द टाइम कम्स आई विल बी एड्रेसिंग 1000 पीपल तो वो होगा राइट तो व्हाट दैट्स सो आई थिंक या कंपैरिजन जैसा है वो हमारे लाइफ का वो पार्ट बन जाता है एंड एज आई सेड इट्स द रूट द बेसिक रूट कॉज इज योर lack of self awareness our inability to work on our strengths. When I say working on your strengths, you need to leverage your strengths. हमने टाइम ही नहीं स्पेंड किया खुद की स्ट्रेंथ जानने की. जब भी लोग पूछते व्हाट आर योर स्ट्रेंथ्स, you'll be like scratching your head. I don't know. I don't think I've got any strengths. वीकनेस बोलेंगे तो हम 10 वीकनेसेस ऐसे देंगे. Why? Because we fed the wrong wolf. तो वो तो तुमको वीकनेस ही बताएगा, वो तो तुमको गधा ही बुलाएगा. So all of these together
Yeah.
push us towards low self worth or push us towards having self doubt about our own capability. Yeah,
I have also seen the people who are uh, in this mood or who are always compared with their siblings or any other person. Later on, they become very rebellious and very
yeah,
rigid
yeah.
in life. And
Correct,
then that becomes again difficult for them to accept
correct.
any other challenge or any other situation in their life.
Absolutely.
I've seen many people like,
Correct, correct.
so I do understand self doubt.
Hmm.
Being in self doubt is very dangerous. But
Absolutely.
then tell me, uh, what are the aspects of life or what are the other things which are affected if the person is in self doubt?
Correct, correct. So aspect तो नहीं, but I think I would say the entire life gets affected here. You know, because
Okay.
when you start considering yourself inferior to the people around you, you become shy, you stop taking risks, right? Eventually, अभी स्कूल की बात करेंगे तो स्कूल में आप पीछे पीछे रहोगे. You will not participate in the allocation competition. Uh, and even if you compete, you'll be like, Arey, that person is better than me because your parents have not taught you that not being able to answer a question doesn't make you any less. Not winning the competition doesn't make you any less. You need to learn to take every experience into account. Parents need to teach their children that failure is good. They need to teach that making mistakes is a part and parcel of the life. बिकॉज अगर नहीं करोगे तो उससे वो अपना बड़ा जब हो जाएगा बच्चा in adulthood, that person will stop taking risks because the person is shy, the person is not opening up, the person will have to give up on seniority roles, which means the person will remain in a position that he or she may have joined the organization. थोड़ी बहुत growth हो जाएगी, but that's about it. There are people who consciously choose not to take any leadership roles, consciously choose not to get into any senior roles. That is fine because the person is aware that I am happy with whatever I'm doing. It's not that I cannot take up the leadership roles, I don't want. Those kind of people, I would say they're fine. There's no self doubt. They know what they're doing. This is about people who want to grow. These are the same people जो आपको slow self doubt दिखेगा. These are the same people who will keep cribbing that the company doesn't look at me. The company
Yeah.
will always forget me during increment. The company never talks about my career, never has career conversations with me. Why will the company have career conversations with you, boss? You have created an image about yourself that you feel you don't deserve. Another root cause is the belief that you don't deserve. Self doubt creates a self belief that you are good for nothing, so you don't deserve success. And people going through this will always blame themselves, they will blame the world for the mess they've created in and around their life. Company is not responsible, boss. Your parents are not responsible. You are responsible for your own lack of growth because you did not take the time to reflect on your self doubt. You did not take the time to reflect on the wolf that you've been feeding. So your entire life gets affected, right? And I've not seen a single person who's filled with say self doubt and is feeling happy, is feeling content, and
Yeah.
a sense of growing in life. नहीं. अभी ऐसा नहीं है कि जो लोग लीडर्स कॉन्फिडेंट है उनको सेल्फ डाउट नहीं आता. नहीं, नहीं आता है. बस यू बी सरप्राइज टू नो. अभी हाल ही में मैंने पढ़ा था. देयर इज दिस गाय जो अभी काफी बड़ा आदमी बन चुका है. In the late 80s, when this guy was in Delhi, he moved to Mumbai with a dream to making it big in Mumbai. I'm talking about Shah Rukh Khan. Shah Rukh Khan was rejected by hundreds of directors, and they told him he's ugly and he's unconventional and his dialogue delivery is pathetic. People rejected him. He had self doubts. He even questioned his decision of moving to Mumbai. But then he reflected on his dream, on his vision. His vision was to be the king of Bollywood. His vision was to win everyone's heart. And he said that if I give in to all these rejections, I will have to reject the very dream I have been having since my childhood, that I want to be the king of Bollywood. So he chose to feed his good wolf, and today all of us know that he is indeed the king of Bollywood. The
Yeah.
second leader that I read about is Mr. Ratan Tata, late Ratan Tata. Even Ratan Tata, when he took upon the reins from his predecessor, that's Mr. J.R.D. Tata, people compared him to Mr. J.R.D. Tata, which affected his confidence. He started doubting his leadership capabilities. And I believe this may have continued for about a year, year and a half. But eventually he decided to look within. He decided to trust his own instincts. He decided to reflect on his vision and goal. And he also started taking risks. And the turning point in his life came when he took the risk of acquiring Jaguar Land Rover and also launching Tata Nano. Yeah, Tata Nano later on, I believe it may have failed, but that doesn't matter. What matters is that even confident and successful leaders go through self doubt, not just once, but millions of times in their life. But what they do is they reflect on their self doubt, they reflect on the goal and the vision that they have, they reflect on their purpose. For Shah Rukh Khan, purpose is entertaining people. For Ratan Tata, the purpose was to create a better world for people. And both of them have been doing it, right? And it's a legacy that's going to continue,
Yeah.
right? So I think when you're going back to your question, it affects the entire life. So it's up to us again to reflect on understanding which wolf are we feeding. वो देखना है, और आपको वही देखना है कि अगर आप अब तक उस बैड वुल्फ को खाना खिला रहे हो, ठीक है, कोई बात नहीं, उसको अभी भूखा मरने दो, बहुत हो गया. या तो आप भूखा मरने वाले हो, या तो वो भूखा मरे. तो इट्स बेस्ट दैट द बैड वुल्फ डाइज ऑफ हंगर, राइट?
Yeah.
तो वो है. एंड ऑफ कोर्स मिस्टर स्टीव जॉब्स हैज सेड दैट स्टे हंग्री स्टे फुलिश, बट दैट डजंट मीन दैट you got to stay hungry. Staying hungry is have that hunger to learn, have that hunger to
Sure.
fail, hunger to learn and grow. That's what he
Yeah.
meant. I hope that answers your
Yeah,
question.
yeah. So yes, you are very bang on that question. Uh, then let me tell. See, whenever we are in self doubt, we get demotivated, right?
Yeah,
And we feel that the fear, the anxiousness, the anxiety takes over our mind.
correct,
Then,
absolutely.
if the self doubt is so much of importance, and if it is affecting every part of our life, then are there any strategies or any techniques to deal or manage the self doubt?
Correct. I think strategies तो बहुत होते हैं. But some of the strategies that I share during my sessions, like you may also remember. One is obviously the first thing is कि breathing तो normal है. You need to breathe, right? मैं हमेशा वही बोलता हूँ
Yeah,
कि self doubt अगर आता
yeah,
है, if there's a self doubt, you will experience your breathing, the energy changing. So connect to that
yeah,
breath. The body and the mind are asking you to connect to the or maybe perhaps I may be wrong, that the energy within you are asking the mind and body to connect to you. वो हो रहा है. So connect to that breath, because that breath will allow your mind to calm down and believe in your capabilities of allowing you to move away from the self doubt. So the first technique is breathing. Second, I would say, is reflect on that doubt. Whose voice is it? वो क्या self doubt है? Is it your parents? Is it your teachers, your friends? उनका आवाज है कि यार तू तो कुछ कर ही नहीं पाएगा, कितना भी करो यार ये तो वेस्ट है. किसका आवाज है? पहला you need to reflect on that. And the purpose of reflecting on that doubt, on that voice, is not to blame them, but it's just to reflect on the fact that been a very long time you've been living with this evil wolf. अब टाइम आया है उसको जाने दो और अपने अच्छे वुल्फ को जगा दो. The second is finding your spark. Now, in this case, spark stands for superpowers, which is your strengths. अब आपको strengths जब पता चलेगी, the second P is your potential. तो आपके strengths को अगर आप leverage करोगे तो आपकी potential क्या बनेगी? Right? So, for instance, if your superpower is building strong relationships with people, so what is the potential? The potential is that you will be great in a networking role. You'll be great in a role of an event manager or a public relations manager, a branding manager, right? Just giving you an example. So, वो potential है. The A in the spark is your achievement. What are your achievements in life so far? हम अक्सर वो भूल जाते हैं. हम हमेशा फेलियर्स और हमारी गलतियों को ही याद रखते हैं. हमारे सुपर पावर्स और हमारी जो पोटेंशियल है उसको हम कभी समझते नहीं है. Potential is connected to your ability. पोटेंशियल आपके साथ ही होती है. अचीवमेंट्स आपको देखना है. और आर द स्पार्क स्टैंड्स फॉर रिस्क्स, एज इन व्हाट आर द risks that you may encounter if you do not leverage your strength. If you don't leverage your strengths, तो अगर आप मार्केटिंग में नहीं जाओगे, नेटवर्किंग में नहीं जाओगे, और अगर आपको लोगों के बीच में से पॉपुलर बनना है, इफ यू वांट पीपल टू टॉक अबाउट यू, then the risk is that you lose out on the opportunities, my dear. Right? That's the risk. The risk will be losing out on senior roles. The risk will be losing out on leadership roles. Yeah, and the biggest risk that you'll be having is not being able to identify your purpose, not being able to walk on your purpose. And the K in Spark stands for kryptonites, which is your weaknesses. तो आपको देखना है कि आपका सुपर पावर क्या है. उस सुपर पावर को लेवरेज करने के बाद आपकी पोटेंशियल क्या बन सकती है, आपके अचीवमेंट्स क्या है, व्हाट आर द रिस्क्स दैट यू मे एनकाउंटर इफ यू डोंट वर्क ऑन योरसेल्फ, इफ यू डोंट लेवरेज दो स्ट्रेंथ्स. एंड क्रिप्टोनाइट्स जो आपको अगेन रिस्क तक लेके जाएंगे, आपके अचीवमेंट से आपको रोकेंगे, आपको वो देखना. तो ये स्पार्क हुआ. एंड आई थिंक बाकी जो चीजें जो मैं बोलूंगा वो छोटी छोटी चीजें, विच इज स्टार्ट अप्रिशिएटिंग योर एफर्ट्स नो मैटर हाउ स्मॉल और बिग. हम खुद के एफर्ट्स को अप्रिशिएट ही नहीं करते. हम देखते हैं यार शिट, मेरे को यार इस टाइम मेरे को आई वांटेड टू मीट 20% टारगेट, दैट्स व्हाट द कंपनी हैड सेड, एंड आई मेट ओनली 12% और मे बी 14%. बट 14% तो लाया ना भाई. पिछले महीने आपने 8 तक का लाया था, इस बार तो 14 तक का लाया. तो क्या है, हम वो हमेशा वही देखते हैं कि वी नॉट मेट द टारगेट. व्हाट वी डोंट लुक एट इज व्हाट इज द एफर्ट, बिकॉज वो जो आउटपुट है, आउटकम है, वो हमारे हाथ में है ही नहीं. हमारे हाथ में एफर्ट्स है जिसको हम देख ही नहीं रहे. टू स्टार्ट अप्रिशिएटिंग योर एफर्ट्स. एंड अप्रिशिएशन के साथ आई थिंक इवन स्टार्ट सेलिब्रेटिंग स्मॉल विन. मैं हमेशा बोलता हूँ अपने टॉक में, समथिंग दैट माय वाइफ समीरा कीप्स टेलिंग, दैट इवन स्मॉल विन्स नीड टू बी सेलिब्रेटेड.
Celebrate. Yeah.
तो अगर एक चेंज भी अगर आपने किया, और एंड सो देयर इज अ मेंटोर दैट आई फॉलो, मिस्टर रजत चावला. He's Asia's #1 customer experience guru, and he's also a branding guru. So something he also keeps saying is that even if, so you say for instance you've just started your journey on LinkedIn and फिलहाल आपके पास सिर्फ 200 लोग हैं, within a week you start putting up posts, people are liking that post. 200 लोगों में से 5 लोगों ने आपके पोस्ट को लाइक किया, सक्सेस है भाई. 5 लोगों ने लाइक तो किया आपके इसको, बट द पर्पस इज नॉट टू गेट दैट लाइक. पर्पस इज कि अरे उस 5 लाइक में से नीचे 40 लोगों ने आपके पोस्ट को पढ़ा भी है ना. That also matters. You have 40 impression. That also matters. Why aren't you looking at that? Celebrate your small wins, is what even he keeps saying, and I completely agree with that. And the most importantly, I think I would say is allowing yourself to fail and make mistakes. वो हम करने देते ही नहीं. वो करना जरूरी है. फेल हो जाओ, मिस्टेक्स करो, उन मिस्टेक्स और फेलियर से सीखो और आगे बढ़ो. तो जस्ट टू रिकैप आई वुड से इज फाइंड योर स्पार्क, जो मैंने बोला. रिफ्लेक्ट
Yeah.
ऑन दैट डाउट हुज वॉइस इज इट, विद द इंटेंशन टू डिकोड की बॉस वो वॉइस बार बार क्यों आ रहा है. स्टार्ट अप्रिशिएटिंग योर एफर्ट्स, celebrate small wins and allow yourself to fail and make mistakes, learn from those mistakes and failures. That's
Very
all.
nice. Very nice.
वही मैं बोलूँ.
Very nice. I think this the spark is the gist of today's session. People can very much
Correct,
with the spark.
correct,
Yeah.
absolutely,
So
absolutely.
very nice. And now let me come to you.
Right, right, right,
Self-doubt. Again, I
right.
would like to ask you, have you ever been in self-doubt and in your life, and how did you overcome that?
Yeah, I mean, I keep, जैसे मैंने बोला, मेरे को तो अभी भी आते रहता है. यार ये मैं बराबर कर रहा हूँ. Then I reflect. जैसे मैंने बोला ना, I keep reflecting on that. So quite a few stories. One story तो मैंने बोला था कि वो ट्रेनर के इसमें मैं अटक गया,
Yeah.
and I failed. So it was so bad that in 2013, towards the end of 2013, during the performance improvement plan, they had, during the performance review, I had to be put on a PIP, performance
Yep.
improvement plan.
Yep.
But because I was a senior most employee, उनको ही शर्म आई, अरे यार इसको क्या डाल. तो उन्होंने वो परफॉर्मेंस इंप्रूवमेंट प्लान नहीं डाला, जबकि मुझे पता था कि भाई वो पीआईपी ही है. बट आई स्टार्टेड वर्किंग ऑन माई सेल्फ एंड आई वाज लाइक कि इंक्रीमेंट नहीं मिला, ठीक है. उसके बाद दूसरे साल में एवरेज था परफॉर्मेंस, पहले साल से बेटर, बट इंक्रीमेंट नहीं थी. तभी आई वाज लाइक कि बॉस निकलना है मेरे को, आई डोंट वांट टू बी हियर.
Yeah.
एंड दैट इज व्हेन आई सेड कि बॉस नहीं यार, आई बीन हियर फॉर अबाउट 13-14 years. I will move out the day I feel I have created some, I've created a value, I've added value to the organization. I started working on myself. And दैट इज व्हेन आई रियलाइज कि जिस चीज से आप हमेशा भागते हो, वो ही चीज आपको आगे लेके जाती है. सो आई वाज रनिंग अवे फ्रॉम लर्निंग एंड डेवलपमेंट, फ्रॉम कोचिंग, एंड इवेंचुअली आई स्टार्टेड एंजॉइंग द प्रोसेस. और उसी टाइम पे पीपल ऑपरेशंस, दैट एडमिन ऑपरेशंस, दैट फंक्शन वाज handed over to me because it was in a very bad shape. So that was an opportunity for me to turn around the performance. I'm an operations guy, customer experience guy, and for me, that was a blessing in disguise because within 6 months, with the help of that beautiful team members and जो भी मेरा customer experience था, जो भी operation का knowledge था, we turned around the performance of that team within 6 months. And within 6 months, the people who would often laugh at that function wanted to create case studies कि भाई 6 महीने में ऐसा क्या हो गया, तुम लोगों ने ऐसा क्या किया. Towards the end of the year, the team won the best team of the year, and consecutively for the next, I think for the next 3 to 4 years, employee survey में 95 to 98% rating होता था
Oh.
of that team. Then उसके बाद और एक और दो functions दिए गए. By 2018, I realized that I had generated a lot of value through learning and development, administration, which is people operations, and your business partnering, plus IT. तो ऐसे कभी टाइम आ गया भाई, निकलने का है. एंड देन आई मूव्ड ऑन. तो वो एक कहानी था, वो ट्रेनिंग की कहानी जो मैं शुरू की थी, वो ऐसा है. व्हाई
Yeah.
डिड इट चेंज? इट चेंज बिकॉज आई डिसाइडेड टू फोकस ऑन माय स्ट्रेंथ्स. आई डिसाइडेड कि भाई अब तक तो वो इविल वुल्फ को खाना खिला रहा था, अब टाइम आ गया है कि वो इविल वुल्फ को ही
Good.
खा
Good.
डालना है, गुड वुल्फ को आगे बढ़ाना है. Second story I would say is in this must be around 2006, 2007. One of the verticals का head नहीं था. So I was kind of their pseudo manager, and then they started looking out for an external manager. One of the team members walked up to the CEO saying that, why don't you make Akshay this the boss of the vertical? Or maybe that was meeting, yeah, and then he said, no, Akshay is not the good choice. Akshay is weak. So जब उसने बोला तो obviously I was shocked, बुरा लगा. And then he's like, oh, Akshay, I'm just kidding. I know he was not kidding, but that stayed with me. It stayed with me that Akshay is weak and cannot take upon profit and loss roles that focus on generating P&L, roles that require a lot of strategy. I'm an operations guy, not a strategy guy. It stayed with me, and whenever strategic offsites होते थे, मैं अंडर कॉन्फिडेंट हो जाता था, मेरा परफॉर्मेंस डिप हो जाता. Now if I reflect back, What I could have done is, yeah, bura laga. I could have walked up to the CEO saying that, I agree that maybe I may not be ready at this point of time, but I don't think I'm weak. But if you feel I'm weak, then how do I bridge this gap? What do I need to do?
Oh,
So going back to the examples of SRK and Mr. Ratan Tata, it is all about reflecting on your overarching goals and vision. उस टाइम पे मेरे पास ना विजन था, ना गोल था, ना स्ट्रेंथ्स का नॉलेज
mm,
था. वो स्पार्क ही नहीं था. स्पार्क था, मुझे स्पार्क ढूंढना भी नहीं था. So the fact is that I could have spent time on understanding. वो बात की बात है कि मैं अपने आप पे काम करने लगा. दूसरा, I think recently 2 years ago. So public speaking has always been something that I enjoy doing, but it also comes with a lot of anxiety and fear. So I have frozen multiple times on the stage. बहुत बार उस पर खुद पर काम भी किया, and I've also signed up with a lot of public speaking mentors. तो मेरे पास दो mentors है, उसमें से एक mentor के साथ अभी भी चालू है. Now what happens is that basically मैंने Toastmasters भी ज्वाइन किया. So Toastmasters में मेरा पहला स्पीच था खुद के बारे में बात करना है. I froze. Why? Because I thought people are looking at me, people are judging me. देन उसके बाद और एक बार हुआ, जबकि टोस्ट मास्टर्स में ही था, मुझे खुद के बारे में ही बात करना था, बहुत प्रिपेयर्ड था, अच्छी तरह से प्रिपेयर करके गया था, और जाने के पहले ही मैं डर गया था, एंड आई हैड टू बी पुश्ड ऑन द स्टेज. तो मैं जाके बोला, बट परफॉर्मेंस वाज गुड, बट फॉर सम रीजन आई वाज नॉट कॉन्फिडेंट, एंड दैट इज व्हेन आई लर्न दैट people are actually not observing you here. People are not judging you. People are giving you feedback so that you can become a better speaker. और जो लोग आपको फीडबैक नहीं दे रहे हैं, वो लोग सोच रहे हैं कि भाई अभी आके हमको भी बात करना है, तो ये बंदा तो उधर
okay.
बात कर रहा है, अभी हम कैसे बात करेंगे. तो दैट चेंज्ड माय पर्सपेक्टिव. तो उसके बाद मेरे को और एक अपॉर्चुनिटी आया, वेयर आई थिंक मुझे दिस फार्मास्यूटिकल कंपनी इन कांजूर मार्ग, वहां जाने का मेरे को अपॉर्चुनिटी आया था. सिप्ला, आई थिंक सिप्ला. हाँ. तो वहां पे अगेन विथ माय मेंटोर, सो ही टेकन मी देयर. तो वहां पे मैं नर्वस था. आई नो आई वाज नर्वस, एंड ओनली आई न्यू आई वाज नर्वस. सो आई स्टार्टेड विद अ जोक. तो जोक अच्छा गया, एंड आई सेटल डाउन. सो इट इज फाइन, कि अगर आप पब्लिक स्पीकिंग का अगर आपको डर है, व्हाट आई रियलाइज इज दैट हैविंग दैट एंजाइटी टू फेस पीपल इज perfectly fine. What is not fine is allowing yourself to feel anxious and sit in their place. आप स्टेज पे जाके
Mm,
अगर फंबल भी करो, स्टेज पे जाके आप फ्रीज भी हो जाओ,
that is fine.
स्टेज पे जाकर अगर आप स्वेट भी कर रहे हो, तो भी ठीक है यार.
Yeah.
लोगों के सामने खड़े रह के बोल रहे हो, एंड इट इज फाइन. आप जब स्टेज पे, ऐसा भी सिचुएशन आएगा कि आप स्टेज पे हो, नीचे आपसे बड़े दिग्गज स्पीकर बैठे हैं, तो भी कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. कभी कभार वो भी एक नए सीखे
There is
स्पीकर्स
always
होते
a
हैं.
first time.
एब्सोल्युटली. तो इट्स ऑल अबाउट, सेल्फ डाउट इज बेसिकली, कर सकता हूँ कि नहीं. व्हाट आई रियलाइज इज दैट कि जिस चीज से हम सबसे ज्यादा डरते हैं ना, वही चीज हमें आगे जाके सक्सेसफुल बना. तो अगर पब्लिक स्पीकिंग का डर है, तो पब्लिक स्पीकिंग को मास्टर करने का ही अपना गोल होना चाहिए. और उसको मास्टर करने के लिए क्या करना है, जस्ट सिर्फ खुद पर विश्वास करना है, एंड हैव सम पॉइंट्स ऑन व्हाट यू वांट टू टॉक अबाउट. यू नो द टॉपिक, गो अहेड एंड टॉक. हो गया काम आप.
Yeah.
दैट्स ऑल वी नीड टू डू.
Yeah.
तो ये दो स्टोरीज मेरी है.
Yeah. Good, good. Thanks, Akshay, for sharing your own
नहीं.
experience. I think people will benefit from it. We are almost towards the end of today's talk. What
राइट.
I understand, the takeaway for me is like if you want to deal with the self doubt, you have
करेक्ट.
to have a good breathing exercise.
राइट.
The spark package which you gave us, celebrate your small wins and learn
करेक्ट.
from your mistakes and progress accordingly.
एब्सोल्युटली.
So, just the last thing before we conclude,
करेक्ट.
any one exercise you can suggest to people which will help them to deal with the self doubt in their
करेक्ट. आई
routine
थिंक वी कैन.
daily.
या आई थिंक वी कैन. जो आगे बोला था, पहले बोला था, आई थिंक उसका ही हम
Yeah,
कुछ
well,
back करेंगे. बट वन थिंग आई थिंक, आई वुड वांट टू टेल, एंड समथिंग मैं हमेशा बोलते रहता हूँ, इज फियर हो या सेल्फ डाउट हो. तो सेल्फ डाउट एंड फियर आर लाइक अ फॉलन स्टार दैट डजंट ट्रूली एग्जिस्ट. मतलब आकाश में जब हम देखेंगे, हमें स्टार्स
Hmm.
दिखेंगे बट एक्चुअली वो स्टार्स है ही नहीं, राइट, वो तो चले गए. So it's the same thing. The fear and self doubt that you are carrying in your mind actually doesn't exist. We imagine it to be real and we are giving it power. So जैसे मैंने बोला था, one exercise that you could start doing is every time there's a self doubt, just tell yourself that this is a fallen star and it doesn't exist. But because it keeps haunting me, I will have to decode this self doubt कि बार बार आके मुझे क्यों हॉन्ट कर रहा है ये डाउट. तो डिकोड दैट सेल्फ डाउट. और मैंने इसे डिकोड, जैसे मैंने बोला था कि किसकी आवाज है जो आपको सेल्फ डाउट बना के खुद को आपको हॉन्ट कर रही है. सो रिफ्लेक्ट ऑन दैट सेल्फ डाउट. व्हाट इज दैट सेल्फ डाउट ट्राइंग टू टेल यू, राइट? So what is your self doubt? Let's try to decode this. If do you have one any self doubt, the self doubt, Mayuresh?
The self-doubt which I have is, am I worthy enough to be a person the way I am?
Okay. So that's a self doubt. And so when you so taking going back to this exercise, whenever this question or this self doubt pops up, I think the first thing that you need to do is, whose voice is this? Why do
Your
I
own
feel I'm
voice.
not worthy?
Yeah.
Why do I feel I'm not worthy? You will start getting answers to that. Generally, what happens is that हम नहीं करेंगे. अब ये नहीं कि आपने आंसर ढूंढ लिया तो दूसरी बार नहीं आएगा, वो आएगा.
Hmm.
अपना माइंड नए चीजें क्रिएट करेगा, अलग अलग चेहरे लेके आएगा. जैसे मैंने बोला था, इट्स ऑलरेडी अ फॉलन स्टार, वो है नहीं, हमको वो दिख रहा है, वो पास दिख रहा है, राइट? So it's time for
Yeah.
us to just decode that self doubt. And secondly, I think when you're decoding, you also reflect on that self doubt. जैसे मैंने पहले कहा था, ask yourself, what is it that you will lose if you allow this bad wolf or that evil wolf or self doubt to win? And also visualize yourself feeding the good wolf and visualize yourself achieving things that you could achieve through your confidence.
Yeah.
So the daily exercise you could do is that every time there's a self doubt, every time there's a negative thought, ask yourself, ये किसकी आवाज है? What is this self doubt trying to tell me? If I feel I'm unworthy, why? किसने बोला? And reflecting, what will I lose out if I allow this thought to win? And visualize what will happen if I just throw this thought out of the mind and I say that I am capable. See what you get. So yes, self doubt is a wolf that we've created based on the experiences, based on the perceptions. हमने सोचा, हमारे पेरेंट्स, टीचर्स, फ्रेंड्स ने बोला हम ऐसे हैं तो हम ऐसे हैं. नहीं भाई, ऐसे नहीं है. We are here for a reason. So self doubt is a part and parcel of our life. Even successful people, as I said, face self doubt. But what they do is they feed the good and powerful wolf, the good powerful wolf, not the evil powerful. The good powerful wolf, by reflecting on their strengths, by reflecting on their vision, on their purpose. And that is what helps them keep moving forward. So, my takeaway for you guys is find your spark, keep feeding the good, powerful wolf, and transform your self doubt into confidence. Thank you.
Yeah.
I think that's all I had to say. My
Yeah. Thank you, Akshay. Uh, nice thing, nice session.
thank you.
And
Thank you.
I understand that self-doubt is a thing which will keep on coming and going. We just have
Absolutely.
to deal with it
Absolutely.
so that we are not affected by it too.
Absolutely.
Thanks a lot, Akshay, for
Thanks for hosting this event.
most of.
So and for the ones who are watching it, Maidesh and I, we are also
Yeah.
we've scheduled a mindset boot camp that's scheduled for November 30th from
Okay.
11 to 4:30 p.m. We've not yet decided the venue. We may decide to go online, but we've not yet decided on that. So when we share this video, we'll also share the link. So the purpose of this boot camp is to help you reshape the way you think, feel, and act. It is for you to embrace your winning mindset, embrace your CEO mindset, which is clarity, empowerment, and optimization. Right? The title of this bootcamp is embracing your CEO Mindset.
CEO mind.
Yes, it's happening on November 30th. The link will be provided. Do go through the link. This is the second version of the second, I would say, this is Bootcamp Mindset
2.0.
2.0. There have been about 10 people who had attended this bootcamp. They're a part of a master's club now. So they did find this bootcamp useful. The purpose, as I said, is to help you reshape your mindset, help you embrace that winning mindset, and transform your self doubt into confidence. That is one thing. Secondly, next week we'll be coming up with another interactive talk on decoding your executive presence. And we may go live. I think we'll go live the next time, maybe, Mayuresh. I think that allows
Yeah,
people to watch us live on YouTube and LinkedIn. So we could do that.
yeah, yeah.
Uh,
We can do.
yeah, so all those watching us, do go through the link of the Mindset Bootcamp 2 and reach out to me or Mayuresh in case of any
Yeah,
questions. And we hope to see you at the bootcamp. And also we look forward to seeing you at our live talk next week on Thursday.
next.
That's November 21st. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, everyone who will be watching this video. And thank you to you, Mayuresh, for hosting this talk.
Most welcome. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you. With that, we
Thank
end,
you. Thank you.
and I'll now end the recording. Thank you, people.